4:15 a.m., when it all ended. On phone screen. Notification from Binance app. Yellow warning triangle icon. Liquidation call. Your position BTC, USDT perpetual has been liquidated. 4:15 a.m. That was the sound of the end. No explosion, no screaming, just a gentle ting from the iPhone 16 Pro Max I bought last month with trading profits. 50.000 USDT. Converted to Vietnamese currency. That's over 1.2 billion Vietnamese dongs. It's 10 years of salary for an average office worker. It's the VinFast VF8 I promised to buy my wife at the end of this year. It's the college tuition for my 2 children in the future. And it evaporated. Not in a year. Not in a month. It disappeared completely in exactly 45 minutes of that damned H1 candle. People often talk about futures as a goldmine. A place to change your life. Yes, it changes lives. It changed my life from a confident man with stable finances to a broke, indebted coward who didn't dare step out of the bedroom to face his family. This video is not a complaint. I don't need your pity. I made this video as a confession. A death sentence for my own arrogant ego. And if you are watching this video, intending to deposit money into futures, or holding a losing position, then stop for 15 minutes. Listen to my story. So you don't have to die like me. The story didn't start with a loss. The biggest tragedies often begin with the most brilliant victories. October 2025. The whole world called it Uptober. At that time, Bitcoin had just broken the 73.000 peak to advance to 80.000. Then 90.000. I started with $10. Money I had saved after 2 years of hard work. My strategy back then was simple. Buy the dip. The market back then was laughably easy. You could just close your eyes. Long any coin randomly. Sleep. And wake up with money. I longed Bitcoin X20 at 85.000. Price went to 90.000. I took $10 profit. Account X2. I continued to long Solana. Long Ethereum. Account went to $30. Then $40. Do you know that feeling? The feeling of dopamine flooding your brain. I started looking at people working for wages out there with pity. Why slave away 8 hours a day to earn a few $100,000? When I just need to click a mouse to get a few $1,000s. I started spending lavishly. I bought the latest MacBook. I bought an Apple Watch Ultra. I rewarded myself with meals costing $5 million, $10 million. In my head at that time, money was no longer sweat and tears. Money was just numbers on the Binance screen. And I thought I had a special ability to make those numbers increase forever. You should quit your job. My best friend told me. You're a trading genius. And I believed him. I believed in that illusion. I started neglecting my main job. I spent all day glued to the 1-minute, 5-minute charts. I was addicted to the feeling of watching running green orders. But I forgot a basic rule of the financial market. A rising tide lifts all boats. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. And I was the one swimming naked while thinking I was wearing Iron Man's armor. The problem with a winning streak is that it destroys the risk management part of your brain. At first, I traded with very disciplined volume, 5% of capital per order. Full stop loss. But after winning 10 orders in a row, I started thinking, why set a stop loss? It's going to bounce back anyway? Why only bet 5%? If I all in, I'd be a millionaire by now. Greed began to gnaw at my reason. Bit by bit, it whispered in my ear that I couldn't lose. October 31st Street. My account hit 50.000 USDT. From 10K to 50K in 1 month. Account X5. I felt like the king of the world. I started planning to buy a house. Buy a car. I promised my wife I would take the whole family to Europe at the end of the year. My wife, a cautious woman, asked me, honey, should we withdraw the principal? Or withdraw half the profit to buy gold? I brushed it off. I smirked. You're a woman. You don't know anything. The trend is beautiful. Why withdraw and lose position? My target is 100K. $200,000. If I had listened to my wife back then, if I had withdrawn the $10 principal back then perhaps, today's tragedy would not have happened. Or at least, it wouldn't be this painful. But if is the most expensive word in the financial market. November arrived. The wind changed. The market started entering an annoying sideways phase at high prices. Bitcoin kept hovering 115K, 120K. At this point, the buy means win strategy was no longer effective. The first losing order came on November 5th. I lost $1. To me back then, $1 was just peanuts. I'll earn it back in no time tomorrow, I thought. But the second order, I lost again. This time I lost $2 because I increased volume to recover the previous order. Account dropped from 50K to 47K. Instead of stopping to review the market, I started feeling angry. I was angry at the market maker. How dare you run against me? I started falling into the most dangerous psychological state of a trader, revenge trading. I started entering more orders, over trading. I traded even short timeframes like M5, M15. I longed. I shorted chaotically. The account kept eroding, 47K, 45K, 42K. Every time I lost money, I told myself, I had to get back to the 50K mark. Just get back to 50K and I'll withdraw money and rest. That is the classic lie that every gambler tells themselves. That break-even mark kept getting further away. Mid-November, bad news started coming out. Trade tensions. KOLs online started warning about a crash. But what did I do? I unfollowed those warning of risks. I only looked for YouTube channels shouting Bitcoin to 150K. This is called confirmation bias. I only wanted to hear what I wanted to hear. I sought consensus for my losing long order. Bad news is just a shakeout weak hands. Whales are accumulating. I reassured myself like that. And then, the opportunity to get it all back, or lose it all, arrived. November 19th, Bitcoin corrected to 108 United States dollars. I looked at the chart. Hard support zone. Here it is, I thought. The last dip before flying. I decided to play big. I put all the remaining $42 into a single order. Long BTC, USDT. Entry. 108.500. Leverage. X20. Order volume. Nearly $1 million, $850. If the price just increased 5%, I would X2 my account. I would have $100,000. But I forgot to look down. My liquidation price was 103.500. Bitcoin can never break 103K. I smirked. It's in an uptrend. At that moment, I didn't know that I had just signed the death warrant for my own assets. I bet everything on a train hurtling straight into the abyss. And the real nightmare hadn't even started yet. The most dangerous time for a trader isn't when the market crashes hard. Nor when it grows. It's when it's ambiguous. Mid-November, Bitcoin was like a wounded beast. Sluggishly hovering around the $110.000 to $115.000 mark. It wouldn't go up, nor down decisively. It just eroded money, and eroded my patience. 42,000, lost 8,000 compared to the peak. $8,000 is $200 million. Damn it, $200 million is the furniture money for the apartment I intend to buy. How to get it back? Playing small. When will I break even? Playing big is risky. In my head back then an obsession formed. Break even. I no longer considered trading as investing. I considered it a debt collection war. I felt the market owed me that $8, and I absolutely had to get it back before November ended. This debtor mindset blinded me to the tsunamis that were coming. November 17th, news broke. The entire financial world was shaken. Tariffs? Just that old threat trick from politicians again. Normally, a sane person would see these two news items and think, run now. Sell all risk assets. Cash out. That's common logic. Bad macro equals price drop. But I wasn't a normal person back then. I was a thirsty gambler. And a gambler's brain has a terrifying defense mechanism called denial. I sought consensus. I ignored hundreds of analyses warning of risks from macroeconomic experts. Just to believe in a few text messages from strangers online. People who were also stuck in long orders exactly like me. I convinced myself that bad news is good news. That the market would react opposite to the crowd. That I was smarter than the rest. I looked at the Bitcoin D1 daily chart. Price was falling to the 108 United States dollars zone. In my eyes back then, I didn't see a falling knife. I saw a gold mine. Look, this is an extremely strong demand zone. Last time it hit 108K, it bounced to 120K in 2 days. RSI is entering oversold territory. Double bottom pattern is forming. All technical indicators are screaming BUY. I made the most basic mistake of technical analysis, intentionally drawing the chart the way I wanted. I ignored that the price was below the short-term MA20 line. I ignored that selling volume was increasing. I just stared at that 108K support like a lifebuoy. And then, the demon of greed started doing calculations in my head. My capital is $42. If I play this order safely, just X5, price goes up 10%, I get $20. Break even in profit. But what if I play X20? Price just needs to increase 5%, and I X2 the account. Up to $84. If it returns to the old peak of 120K, 10% increase. I will have nearly $100. Just one order. One single order to change everything. Then I will withdraw everything to buy a house. One single order. That is the deadly mantra. When you think about all in to solve every problem, that's when you are no longer an investor. You are playing Russian roulette with a gun pointed at your temple. I looked at the screen. My heart pounded. Not the nervous flutter of love, but the nervousness of someone about to bungee jump without a safety cord. I looked down at the liquidation price line, 103.400 United States dollars. 103K? Impossible. Bitcoin has never broken 105K for 3 months. The 105K support is reinforced concrete. At most it wicks to 106K, then pulls back up. I'm safe. Definitely safe. There was a moment, a very brief moment, my reason screamed, stop. Don't all in, split the capital, set stop loss at 107K. But immediately, the fear of missing out, FOMO, and the desire to recover losses strangled that voice. I closed my eyes. I imagined opening the app and seeing a $100 account. I imagined throwing stacks of money at my worries about food, clothes, and money. The market is cruel. It doesn't kill you right away. It often gives you a taste of honey before leading you to the slaughterhouse. That slight bounce reinforced my blind faith. I was right. Macro is trash. Only cash flow is real. I didn't take that $2 profit. Because my goal was $50. I turned off the computer. I climbed into bed next to my wife and children, heart full of hope. That night, I slept the soundest sleep in all of November. I didn't know that it was my last peaceful sleep. Because while I slept, on the other side of the hemisphere, Wall Street was waking up, and the real whales started pressing the sell button. People say Saturday is a day to rest for family, but for a futures addict holding an overnight position, Saturday doesn't exist, only green and red candles. I woke up with an indescribable queasiness in my stomach, like you drank too much alcohol the night before. But worse, it was a premonition. The first thing I did, even before fully opening my eyes, was turn on my phone screen. Last night when I slept, it was still 109K? Profit $2.500? Why is it minus $9 now? $9. Over 200 million Vietnamese dongs evaporated in my sleep. I tried to find every reason to justify that red color. But there was one number that tightened my heart. Current price, 106.200. Liquidation price, 103.400. The distance was less than 3.000 points, about 2.5%. For Bitcoin, 2.5% can fly in a sneeze. I lied. For the first time, I lied to my wife about money so blatantly. In my pocket back then was minus $9. But I didn't dare say it. How could I say that the savings of so many years were threatened? How could I dare ruin the family's weekend breakfast? I hurriedly ate the porridge and stood up. I'm going into the office for a bit. Need to watch some orders. My wife looked after me, eyes showing a hint of worry. But she said nothing. She didn't know that her husband was entering a life and death battle. The greatest fear isn't sudden death. It is torture. The market that Saturday played a cat and mouse game. It kept dropping 100 points. then recovering 50 points. It gave me hope, then extinguished it immediately. Every time a green H1 candle poked up, I prayed, go up. Please, go back up to 108K. I will cut at break-even. I swear, I won't play anymore. But as soon as the green candle closed, the next candle was a thick solid red one, engulfing everything. Only then did I realize the grim truth about Saturday liquidity. There was no one supporting the price. The buy order book was empty. Price: 105.000. Liquidation price: 103.400. Distance only 1.600 points left. And my PNL: minus 14.000 USDT, minus 33%. At this moment, I stood before two choices. One decision would cause me pain, but I'd live. One decision would make me feel relieved right now, but would kill me later. Choice 1. Cut loss. Accept losing $14. Withdraw the remaining $28 back. Admit I was wrong. Admit I was stupid. But $14, that's $350 million. Lost an SH motorbike and 2 years of salary. How could I accept that? My ego didn't allow it. Choice 2. Hold and add margin. Deposit more money. If I deposit another $10, the liquidation price will drop from 103.400 to 98.000. 98 United States dollars? Bitcoin can never go below 100K. The 100K mark is immortal. Just hold through this part. Monday market recovers. I'll break even. This is the savings of both husband and wife over the past 3 years. Money for house repairs. Emergency sickness fund. Money my wife scrimped and saved from grocery shopping. It was a forbidden zone. I had sworn an oath never to touch this money for crypto. But right then, the demon in my head whispered, "You're not spending money. You're just borrowing temporarily. You deposit to lower the liquidation price for safety. Market recovers. You withdraw and return it immediately. Your wife will never know. But if you don't deposit, you will lose all that $42. You will lose everything." The sunk cost fallacy knocked me down. I didn't want to lose the old 42K. So I was ready to throw another new 12K into the fire. Never had my hands shaken like this when transferring money. Every number entered was like a knife slicing my conscience. I was stealing my family's future to feed a gambler's hope. Money entered the wallet. I immediately transferred this entire $11.800 into the futures wallet. Pressed the Add Margin button. The feeling after depositing money to hold a loss was intoxicating. It was like a powerful painkiller injected straight into the vein. Fear disappeared, replaced by fake confidence. I looked at the 97.800 liquidation mark and felt I had built a solid fortress. I was even confident enough to place a small limit long order at 104.000 to dollar cost average DCA, hoping when it recovered faster I would profit big. This market only scares the weak-hearted, I thought. But I forgot one thing. When you deposit more money into a losing position, you don't reduce risk. You are just feeding the monster. Before, if liquidated, I lost $42. Now, if liquidated, I lose $54. And the market, with its cold cruelty, seemed to be just waiting for that moment, waiting for the last prey to step into the trap. The 103.400 mark, my old liquidation price, was pierced in the blink of an eye. If I hadn't deposited money, I would have burned right then. The pain should have ended. But because I deposited money, I was still alive. I was alive to witness a much more horrific scene. I realized I was wrong. I didn't buy insurance. I just bought a first-class ticket for the train going down to hell. And the 100 United States dollars mark, the fortress wall I trusted, was in danger of collapsing. I sat like a statue for 2 hours. Didn't dare go to the bathroom. Didn't dare drink water. I glued my eyes to the number 100.000. That was the final boundary between life and death. If it broke, my $53, my family's future, would turn into dust. Suddenly, the buy order book started disappearing. Dense buy walls at 100.500, 100.200, suddenly withdrew completely. It felt like the ground beneath my feet was collapsing. It broke. The 100K fortress broke. No resistance at all. It went through like a hot knife through butter. This is the death spiral. Billions of dollars in long orders are being liquidated in a chain. One person's long order burns dollar, right arrow dollar turns into a sell order dollar, right arrow dollar pushes price down dollar, right arrow dollar burns the next person's order. My liquidation price, 97.800. Market price, 98.100. Only 300 points away. 300 damn points. My reason screamed, cut now. Cut it Thien. You still have $5 margin unburned. Cut it and salvage 100 million. Cut it. But my body, it betrayed me. My hands were numb. I couldn't move my index finger. That is the freeze response when humans face too much fear. I couldn't accept the truth that I had lost $48. I couldn't press that button. Pressing that button was admitting I had destroyed my family. That's it. No chance to correct mistakes. No money to recover. No savings. No VinFast car. Nothing left. 53.650 USDT. Over 1,300,000,000 Vietnamese dongs. It went with that candle into the exchange's pocket. Into the pockets of the whales who sold to me at the top. People say money can't buy happiness. But losing money, it brings real physical pain. I felt my chest empty. As if someone had just ripped my heart out. In my head right now I wasn't thinking about Bitcoin. Wasn't thinking about charts. I only thought of my wife. Tomorrow morning she wakes up. What will I say? Honey, I lost all the savings. Honey, our dream of changing our lives is shattered. I looked in the mirror. The person in the mirror wasn't Thien, the talented investor of October. The person in the mirror was a thirsty gambler. A failure. A coward who gambled his wife and children's future. 6 hours passed since the account went to zero. I was still sitting here. Not moving. The sun still rose. Birds still sang. Traffic outside still ran. The world didn't care that I just lost $50. The earth still spun. Only my own world had collapsed. I touched the mouse. The screen lit up. Still that line. Wallet balance, 0.00. I hoped, foolishly, that it was just a nightmare. That I would wake up and see the account still had 40K. But no. Cruel reality smacked me right in the face. I looked at the Bitcoin chart. After wicking down to 95.000, the price bounced back to 99.000. The market seemed to be taunting me. It killed me. Then it recovered. If I hadn't deposited more money, I would have burned, but I'd still have savings. If I hadn't used leverage, I would only be temporarily losing. The word, if, returned, tormenting my conscience. Dishwasher, 15 million. Child's tuition, 5 million. Total 20 million. About $800. Before, $800 was just a small stop loss of mine. I threw it out the window without mercy. But now, I realized I didn't have a cent left. The money in the bank account, where my wife trusted was the safety fund, I had transferred clean to guy_tin_trader_99 last night. I looked at my wife. She was still smiling. She didn't know we were bankrupt. The guilt was heavier than any rock. It weighed on my shoulders, making it impossible to breathe. I was a fraud, and the victims were the people I loved most. I lived like a ghost for the next 7 days. I didn't smile, didn't speak. I snapped at my children for no reason. In my head there was always a calculator running constantly. How to earn back 50K. How to earn back 1.3 billion. Monthly salary 20 million. Take 5 years of not eating, not spending to recover. 5 years. I realized the price of $50 wasn't just the number. It was time. I burned 5 years of my life in one night. I fell into depression. There were times, driving on the bridge, I looked down at the black water and thought, if I jump down, will all debts and torments end? But the image of my daughter laughing pulled me back. I couldn't die. Dying is running away. I was a coward when holding losses. I couldn't be a coward this time too. She didn't scold. She didn't smash things. She just went into the bedroom and closed the door. The sound of my wife crying silently from behind the door was the most haunting sound of my life. More painful than the liquidation alarm. That night, I sat alone in the living room. In the dark, facing the endless void. The void in the account. The void in my wife's trust. And the void in my own soul. When you lose everything, You only have one thing left, the truth. I lost $50. I lost trust. But at least, I didn't have to lie anymore. I reopened the Bitcoin chart. Price was at 92 United States dollars. It was still running. The market still existed. It didn't care if I lived or died. I realized a bitter lesson. The market is always right. Only my ego was wrong. I deleted the Binance app. I deleted the Signal Telegram groups. I needed rehab. I needed to rebuild myself before thinking about rebuilding money. 50.000 USDT. That was the tuition fee. An overly expensive price for the lesson on discipline and humility. I don't know when I will earn back that money. Maybe 3 years, 5 years, but I know the road back won't be through full margin x50 orders. It will start by going to work, saving every penny, and healing the wounds for the family. 3 months have passed since that fateful night. 3 months, no Binance app, no candlestick charts, no futures. I returned to being a normal office worker. Punching in morning, picking up kids afternoon, monthly salary 20 million. I give my wife 15 million for living expenses and gradually paying off petty debts. I keep 5 million for lunch and gas. Life is much more of a struggle than before. No more fancy restaurant meals. No more million-dollar dreams. But in exchange, I got one thing I had lost for the past 2 years: a good night's sleep. I no longer startle every time the phone goes ting-ting. My wife, she hasn't fully forgiven me yet. Heart wounds need time to heal. But she didn't leave. She chose to stay to rebuild from the start with me. That is the biggest luck of my life. Bigger than any jackpot winning order. Hello friends. If you have watched this far, perhaps you are also seeing a part of yourself in my story. Maybe you are holding losses. Maybe you just burned your account. Or maybe you are drunk on victory. I didn't make this video to whine. I paid $50 1,300,000,000 Vietnamese dongs for this bitter course. And today, I want to hand over the syllabus of that course to you. Completely free, so you don't have to pay the expensive price like me. Here are 3 lessons I have engraved in my bones. Lesson 1. Stop loss is not losing money. Stop loss is the insurance premium for your life. In trading, we often have huge egos. We refuse to admit we are wrong. When I was down $2, I thought, why cut? Cutting is real loss. Holding means chance to break even. That is the mindset of a death row inmate. Remember this well. A small losing order doesn't kill you. But a loss holding order will kill you. If I had cut loss at 107K, I would only have lost 10% of the account. I would still have $45 to start over. But because I wanted to be right, I lost everything. In this market, do you want to make money or do you want to be right? You only get to choose one. Lesson 2. Never go to battle without a shield. My biggest mistake wasn't predicting the wrong trend, long when market crashed. Anyone can guess wrong. My mistake was all in. I bet the entire fortune on one mouse click. I used X20 leverage for the entire account. Friends, leverage is a double-edged sword. But the edge facing you is much sharper. Adhere to the 1 to 2% rule. Never let the risk of one order exceed 2% of the total account. If you have $10, only accept losing $200 for an order. If you do that, you have to lose 50 times in a row to burn the account. As for me, I only needed to lose once to be out on the street. Don't let a tsunami wash away the sandcastle you built in 2 years. The final, and most important lesson: don't gamble with your wife and children's rice money. I committed the biggest taboo: using family savings to dollar cost average (DCA). When you use money you cannot accept losing to invest. Your psychology has lost even before entering the order. Fear will paralyze your reason. You won't dare to cut loss. And you will take profit early. Separate clearly. Investment money is idle money. Losing it is okay. But house money, food money, tuition money, that is a forbidden zone. Never cross that line, no matter how the demon of greed tempts you. I lost $50, but I still have my hands, my brain, and most importantly, I still have my family. I am starting again from number 0. No, from a negative number. I still believe in the potential of crypto. But next time I return to the market, and surely I will return, I won't return as a gambler. I will return as an investor. I will accumulate spot Bitcoin. I will buy and hold long term. I will ignore short-term fluctuations. Ignore deadly leverage. Friends, the crypto market crashed hard these past few days. Many people are in pain like me. If you are watching this video and just lost money, don't give up. But stop. Stop to heal. Stop to learn. Stop to earn money from real work. Lost money can be earned back. But faith and bravery, if lost, you will lose everything. Consider the lost money as tuition for the harshest university in the world. Graduate from it, don't drop out, and don't stay back forever. I am Thien, the one who once lost everything, and is on the journey to find himself again. Thank you for listening to this confession. Trading is not for the masses. Be responsible with your money.